This is episode 344.
Wow, it seems like just last week it was
Can you
343.
believe that? My gosh, it's almost been on air as long as he's been alive. A self-defense event
Actually,
happens.
that's true, isn't it?
I think
That
so.
might actually be true. Wait a minute.
Wait.
How long- we've been on for, what, 6 years?
Yeah, well, he's 9.
You're 9,
Almost 10.
the ripe old age of 3.
Easy now.
Okay, so you guys started when I was 3 years old.
When you were just a little baby.
See? And you were listening, too, weren't you?
Yes.
Because you used to say the answer even back then.
The answer.
Not like that. It's terrible.
All right, where were we?
I think we were talking about a self-defense event happens in seconds, and in the time it takes to listen to this commercial, your life could change forever. And I pray you're never forced to shoot in self-defense, but if you must, then you must be ready. That's why USCCA exists, because every responsibly armed American should have the training and education to navigate a self-defense situation. And should you need it, the 24/7 critical response team is right there for you. To discover more about USCCA, you need to visit uscca.com/GOR. Act now, because the life you save could be your own. That's uscca.com/GOR.
So we talked about the listening sessions. Of course, the county is trying to ban your guns and take your guns and make it difficult for you to defend yourself and exercise your Second Amendment rights. We spoke a lot about that. The San Diego County gun violence assessment results came out. In fact, they did a virtual dog and pony show last week, which I sat through. And, of course, they did one yesterday, which we had a bunch of people go down and put them through the ringer, which was well-deserved. Mm-hmm. And there's one more. You have one more opportunity if you'd like to show up and see their lives in person.
You're doing that quite well.
All right. March 14th, 2023, Escondido City Hall in the Mitchell Room from 6 to 7:30. It was actually very interesting in a lot of ways, but it's very, very skewed, and the guy who conducted it, his whole team are completely unethical and should be dismissed.
Really? That bad?
Well, it is. Some of the statistics are statistics. Like one interesting statistic that I learned was of all the first off, there are very few deaths involving a gun in San Diego County. Very few.
They admitted that?
Well, so that, yeah. I mean, that was, like I said, numbers are numbers, but there were ways that they skewed them. Of the folks who perished and there was a gun involved, 86% were by suicide, which is much higher than the national average, which is more like in the 60s, 60 percentile, somewhere in there, which basically shows that, no guns does not equal no suicide deaths. That's not what that doesn't happen.
Correct.
Most of the suicides happen in East County. There was a big concentration of suicides in East County, which is very tragic, with using a firearm. Most of the illegal, basically criminal use of firearms is happening in
Lloyd.
Yeah, a lot Rancho Santa Fe.
That's what
La
I was
Jolla,
That's
yeah.
what I was saying. I just had to throw you there for a second.
And the thing is, it's where most of the crime happens in San Diego.
Yeah,
it's not a big shocker. It's over by kind of that eastern village part, and across the 5. I can't think of the exact name of the areas.
Yeah,
but the way he skewed everything was ridiculous. The way they put it is crystal clear to me that they started with a conclusion and are looking for numbers to support that conclusion.
Right.
And the numbers that they came up with, everything they came up with is total junk. So we're going to stay on top of it. We'll talk more about it. I just wanted to touch on that. Let's go around the horn. Alicia, what do you say?
Let's do it.
Let's start with Heather Hawk, the Executive Director for Orange County Gun Owners. How are you, Heather?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing today?
Fantastic. If I was any better, I'd be twins.
You're cloning yourself?
That would make everybody better.
Where is the drum roll when we need it?
So
the dad jokes would abound.
So what's going on in Orange County? Talk to us. Give us the lay. Go ahead. I'll let you talk.
The sun is finally shining up here. It's very nice. We got some sunshine today and dried it up. We had tabletops this weekend at Rifle Supply in Huntington Beach. They had their cars and coffee this morning. So everybody, it actually had a great turnout. Lots of nice cars going through there, and they had coffee, of course, Code 7 coffee, and they also made breakfast burritos for everybody. So we had a good time. Got a couple members signed up. So
congratulations! Is this the first time you guys went to Cars and Coffee?
No, we've been probably 4 or 5 times now. So it's really grown for them. They started it a couple years ago, I believe, and it was started out with some of their buddies and everything, and then it's just grown from there. So people have started coming in and getting more vendors and everything out there. So it's great.
Nice. Well, that's awesome. Orange County Gun Owners. Love you guys.
You should take your Jeep.
Yeah.
Put it in the shed.
Yes.
Well, I don't drink coffee.
Well, you can have tea. They have tea.
Well, now that I have a hardtop on it and cool bumpers.
See? And you got cool bumpers.
Oh, you should see the new windows I got, too.
Oh, you got new windows.
Gosh.
You got to go up there.
I'll say, all right, maybe I will.
Come on, be a superstar.
Heather, will you buy me a cup of coffee if I go up there?
Of course I will.
I like a lot of cream and sugar and some hazelnut, and then maybe about 10% of it can be coffee.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, they had all of that there. So it's a couple of guys, they're police officers up in L.A., in El Monte. They started it. So they actually bag their own coffee. And one of their brothers just got back from a tour of duty, and so he's helping them. So he made sure I had caramel, and I had half and half in mine. They had peanut butter flavor, too, to add. So it was pretty good.
Awesome. Cool. All right, well, awesome. Heather Hawk from Orange County Gunners. Anything else?
We have our shooting social next Saturday. So if anyone is listening that they have friends that have never shot before, they're nervous in Orange County, sign up for our shooting social. It's at FT3 Tactical in Stanton from 8 to 10 on Saturday the 18th. $60. They get eyes, ears, a box of ammo, and a target. And our members are the mentors for the day. So we walk them through like a first-time range experience. Get them comfortable with a firearm. They don't have to own a firearm. We will provide those for them. So if you know anyone, have them go to ocgunowners.com/shooting socials and sign up for a ticket for us for Saturday.
That's very cool. Congratulations. And just go to ocgunowners.com for that, right?
Yep. They can find it on there. There's a tab that says shooting socials, so they'll be able to connect there.
Thank you so much, Heather. Let's move on to Carla from Inland Empire Gun Owners. Carla, what's going on in Inland Empire?
I am here. How's everyone doing today?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
We went from cars and coffee to Carla.
You see how polite I was? I didn't jump in the car.
That is a big reply. So, Carla, what's happening with Inland Empire Gun Owners? The executive director for Inland Empire Gun Owners, the one and the only. What do you got going on in your neck of the woods?
The one and only. Well, we had 2 tabletops over the weekend. We had one at Blue Collar Firearms, where we had our great discount program going on. If we signed up new members, they got a discount at Blue Collar Firearms. And we also held one at Ammo Brothers in Paris. Next Saturday, we are actually going to be at Ammo Brothers in Riverside. So we will be out there. And we have our Riverside CCW seminar coming up this Wednesday. And I just confirmed for our monthly meeting on the 25th, Quincy Howell from Alpha Culture is going to be there to talk to our members in attendance about first aid training and give a couple of pointers on how to do first aid training or first aid.
Awesome. And Gail couldn't make it, unfortunately, but San Diego County Gun Owners, check out our website, SanDiegoCountyGunOwners.com. We definitely have a shooting social coming up. Of course, we need volunteers, so check out the volunteer page at SanDiegoCountyGunOwners.com. Thank you, Carla from Inland Empire Gun Owners. Just go to InlandEmpireGunOwners.com for more information, and that's awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Carla.
Thanks. Have a great day.
All right,
Bye.
you too.
All right, Mickey Schuch, a.k.a. CarryTrainer, is up next.
Hey, but first, if you have legal matters that involve firearms, then you need to call California firearms lawyer John Dillon, especially if you have questions on red flag laws, gun navigation, gun transportation, or maybe you just need to know that your guns are California compliant. Call our trusted firearms attorney, John Dillon. That's John Dillon because he specializes in California gun laws. Go with the expert. 642-7150. That's 642-7150. Area code 760. Or you can go to his website, DillonLawGP.com.
All right, our first guest here on Gun Owners Radio is Mickey Schuch. He's a CarryTrainer. We're going to find out his story and exactly what a CarryTrainer is. Mickey, are you there?
I am here.
How are you, my friend?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for coming on. So talk to us a little bit. What exactly is a CarryTrainer?
Well, a CarryTrainer is me, I guess. It's quite simple. We teach people how to carry firearms properly, effectively, safely, but not just the concept of how to put it in a holster and put it on your hip, but the mindset, tactics, strategies, know-how of how to use it to prevail in violence. That's kind of the overarching mindset.
I feel like there's definitely, of course, a big need. You know, the shooting world has definitely taken a big turn towards carry. You know, it's not about hunting anymore. It's certainly not about sport necessarily. It's about carry these days. That's, you know, and the more, I think it's a broader skill set that's needed. There's definitely a lot more information that's needed, you know, than competition, even than hunting. So, you know, there's so much more you got to know and learn. There's so much more nuance. You got to know law. You got to know equipment. You got to know all kinds of stuff. So what made you decide that was going to be your emphasis?
Well, I think the point you just made is an excellent point. It's everything you're talking about. It's full circle. These things were part of the normal human existence, not just for Americans, but people around the globe. Weapons were used not just for taking game, not just for sport, but for what the purpose of a weapon is, to defend the bearer of said weapon. I'm not going to get in the weeds on the semantics of war or violence, but because that's so subjective. But I think a good analogy is, especially in this modern day and age, simple things like a farmer's market or making soap or one raising their own bees to get honey or a garden has now become almost like some type of cliche hobby, whereas you did these things if you wanted to live, even just 150 years ago.
Yeah.
And now it's like it's almost, I use the word cliche again, it has become this cliche thing where we do these things, and there's nothing wrong with them. It's wonderful, but we forget none of this stuff is new. These are, and so in that, with the firearms, I've been involved in hunting and sport shooting and training with firearms my entire life in some capacity. I worked with our state with the hunter safety program, worked with NRA teaching as well as developing some programs in the past and other such organizations, and found a really huge gap in many of these programs based on application in violence. And we tend to be so concerned about safety, as we should, but we forget that every time we touch a gun, every time we interact with a firearm, we're ingraining some type of habit. And it is very important that we ingrain habits that are going to support the desired outcome. For me, the desired outcome is me or one of my family or a student that works with us. They have the proper tools to win in violence. So your question of what got me into it was seeing a lack in that area. And I will say there are many great people in this space. I've got some great mentors that passed on things to me, but it seems that by and large, a lot of folks get into this space and you hear the something oft repeated, hey, I just want to teach the basics. Well, the basics is the whole thing. There isn't anything else. The application is the basics. Michael Jordan shoots a basketball just like a 10-year-old driveway shoots a basketball. So we need to make sure that we're learning basic fundamental skills that, again, I'll say it again, support us winning in violence, if that is what your goal is, if that's why you have a gun. I don't know anybody that carries a gun for fun.
I think that it's really interesting the way you put it about, honey and bees and raising chickens and, growing your own food, that sort of thing. It is kind of a luxury hobby, now, where it used to be required to eat. And I think it's a very interesting, it's a very interesting perspective. I've never quite heard it, put that way. But I think a big difference, though, is we've had to defend ourselves for generations, for centuries, since the dawn of man. But really, just in my lifetime, and I'm early mid-20s. Just in my lifetime,
Plus shipping and handling.
Yeah. The shipping and handling.
There's a lot of shipping and handling.
You're 87.
I'm 47, and just in my lifetime, I've seen enormous strides in the teaching of carrying. I mean, it's the science of carrying has changed tremendously in the last few decades. It's really, really improved tremendously. I just even like the four basic universal rules since the 80s has been has changed and has been broadened and has been kind of set in stone. So I guess what I'm saying is it's gotten to be a science. They've kind of perfected things, and that knowledge needs to be disseminated into the public, because we have over 20 million CCW holders. So I think it's an excellent niche. If that's I hope you don't mind me putting it. Is it a niche? Do you consider it a niche?
Sure. I mean, if you walk into any town USA and ask to go to a diner, a car dealership, a church, and ask, hey, how many of you people in here train with firearms as a combative element for self-defense, people are going to look at you like you're crazy. So I think it's pretty fringe, actually, when you think about how many people actually train with firearms. How many people carry them, different story, but how many people actually invest in real legitimate training? It is a tiny fraction of the population.
It really is. I tell you, I should put together the numbers. I mean, the percentage, it starts to drop significantly. If you look at the percentage of Americans that actually own a gun, it's something like basically somewhere around a third, I think. And then if you look at the gun owners, how many of them train, it starts dropping. How many of them carry daily? It drops even more. And then how many?
It's not even close to the ownership numbers. But not to talk over you.
No, sure. But to get to the type of training, once you drill down and get to somebody that owns a gun, carries a gun, has a permit, and gets the type of training that they need, which is what you're offering, it's minuscule. And I don't know. What do you think? Like broadly, how do you think groups like Gun Owners Radio and San Diego County Gun Owners and all these groups, what do we do? What do you think the message should be, or how do you think we should be effective in encouraging people to get this level of training?
Well, I think if we're talking to the audience that folks like you and I would call friends and peers, let's look at the Second Amendment. Well regulated. Oftentimes, I think most people in this space understand that 18th century vernacular of regulated did not mean government regulations. The word regulated from that day and time, just so we're all on the same page, it meant trained up in the sense of a firearm. It meant lubed up, ready to go, shot, and powder was available. It meant that the owner of that firearm understood the dope for that musket or rifle and understood how to hit targets at whatever distance it was capable inside of. So regulated, if we're going to all quote the Second Amendment constantly and pound our chest at Congress and anti-gunners and in your state, Gavin Newsom, let us live up to that standard that the founders set forth. It wasn't just you have a right to own these guns. It was you have a right to own these guns, and we the people expect you to be well trained. not just an owner of this thing sitting in a box or sitting in a gun safe or sitting in a closet. We expect you to be able to be called to duty in defense of your neighborhood, your community, your family, and even your nation. That was what the intent of the founders was. That's not Mickey's opinion. That's every legal scholar I've ever listened to speak on it. So that would be my call to action.
I think it's tremendous. We teach, it was just been since 2017 that you could actually get a carry permit in San Diego, and we have a seminar that we teach that teaches people how to apply and get their permit. And there's one slide about 3/4 of the way in big red letters that says it's not just a right, it's a responsibility, and that is exactly what you're describing. And I think that you did it very eloquently in saying, hey, this is, you have the right to keep and bear arms, but remember that first part, you got it. That's your responsibility. The other part of that is, and I know you have a background in politics as well, which I want to talk about on the other side of the break. But the other thing is, if you don't, as a gun owner, take that responsibility, guess who's going to force that responsibility on you? The government. It opens the door wide open for the government to say, well, they're not doing it right, so we're going to make them do it right. So that in and of itself should be motivating. But Mickey, this is awesome, man. We're going to take a break, and then I want to talk to you more about your background, how you got into this. Like I said, I correct me if I'm wrong on the other side, but I believe you've done some political work, and I want to talk a little bit about that as well.
Yes, sir.
Hey, by the way, Audrey.
Is she listening right now?
Well, of course she's listening.
Audrey, if you're listening, I'm going to send you a couple pictures of my Jeep.
Yeah, because he's just, man, when do you see these windows, man? You're blown away.
They're Bulldog. They're Bulldog windows, and it's a DV8 hardtop.
And why does that not surprise me? They're Bulldog windows.
I don't know. You know what's funny? I was telling the guy, I said, hey, man, I ordered these Bullfrog windows. And he's like, what? Apparently it's Bulldog.
I think it might be. But hey, Orange County gun owners, they know it's dedicated to preserving and restoring Orange County and self-defense rights. If you live in Orange County and want to help defend and restore the Second Amendment, you need to join. OCGunowners.com/join. Orange County Gun Owners is the Do Something organization to restore and defend the Second Amendment. Volunteer at a shooting social, at a gun shop or tabletop, and help more pro-gun local officials get elected. Save the date. Orange County Gun Owners Gun Prom is May 20th. Become a member today at OCGunowners.com/join and help.
I can't find her profile on Facebook. Audrey, if you're listening, send me a text send me a message on Facebook and all.
You may send you her number.
No, not well. I might have her number, but send me a little message on Facebook. I'll send you some pictures of my cool new mods.
I know. He's
my new
there.
toy.
He's up there. Now you got to get off road.
I do that occasionally.
Am I supposed to go off road with this?
I'm too busy in the mall parking lot.
Yeah, you are the mauler.
Exactly. Okay, so we're talking to Mickey Schuch, who's a CarryTrainer out of Illinois, which I pick up a little bit of an accent, Mickey. You probably don't even realize. I'm sure everybody has your accent there, but I'm picking up just a little bit of an Illinois. How close to Chicago are you?
I'm just down the road, about 30 miles, 40 miles.
And do you drive a Jeep?
So. I definitely do not. I drive the only vehicle a man should drive, a Ford pickup truck. I've owned several Cherokees in my life, never a Wrangler.
Yeah, well, he's got a 2-door, short wheelbase.
That's right.
Jacked to the hilt. Just never seen dirt.
That's not stop
4x4.
Why would you say that?
So like a Barbie Jeep. That's what you're saying.
Oh, that's it. That's it. That's the best one yet.
It's my Daisy Duke Jeep.
I know. I like
Daisy Duke.
Yeah.
I like the Barbie Jeep. That's cute.
How dare you?
And
I'll dare both of you. All right, my friend.
Daisy Duke drove before she had the Jeep.
What's that?
What did she drive before she had a Jeep?
What was
I
it?
think it was a Dodge Dart.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, now I think about it. Yeah, I think it was.
That's an obscure reference. Wow.
Yeah, that's good. I like this guy.
Yeah. What was the Lone Ranger's nephew's horse? Anyway.
Sam can tell us.
All right, Mickey. So you're by the way, Mickey Schuch. That is one of the coolest names I think in firearms training right there. You should I was thinking about it. You should, if you do night classes, you could. Do you do night classes like night training?
Here it comes. Here it comes. Get ready.
Sure,
brother.
we do. Yeah, let's hear this. Lay it on me.
You could call it Shook Night. That'd be awesome.
Shook night.
Or Shook Me
I
All
like
Night
it.
Long. That'd be.
Actually, we do use that reference in my family.
Why did
I've got a
that
sister
not?
and brother that are musicians.
Isn't it funny how somebody hears your name and they think they come up with the first idea of a change of your name?
Yeah.
Here, son, what do you think of that? Yeah, right. Yeah, I've heard that once or twice.
So let's talk about your your origin story. How did you get into firearms? Did you grow up around firearms, or what? How did you get bit by the bug?
When I was from the earliest age, I loved the outdoors. As long as I could remember, I was fascinated by tales of our founding and men like Daniel Boone. I think my 8th grade yearbook, my hero was Daniel Boone and Davy Crockett. So those kinds of men and what they did and what they meant for our republic left a mark on me. I actually had an accident with a firearm when I was in grade school. A boy errantly shot me in the face with a BB gun.
Jeez.
And it cost me the vision in my right eye.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Stupid. Yeah, it's a horrible story, but I was being safe in that moment. It's a very simple story. He pointed a loaded gun at me. He thought it was unloaded, pulled the trigger, and it shot a BB into my head, which is still in me to this day, and it caused a hole in the retina of my eye. But just seeing how easy something like that could happen, and if he ever hears this, I love him. I'm not mad at him, but
you're a bigger man than I am.
Me. We were children, but it's such an easy thing to happen. So I have a great respect for firearms and the damage that they can cause. Mm-hmm. I think they should be wielded for righteous purposes. And so in my state, like you guys in California, we were unable to lawfully carry a firearm. So my children are adults now. I actually was with my granddaughter before the show here. And as my kids were young, it frustrated me immensely that the state that I lived in, worked in, operated a business in, stopped me from possessing a firearm on my body to protect my family as we were out and about. And it eventually irritated me to the point that I began looking at ways to help change the law. I got involved in a local organization, and that local organization dovetailed with several other small grassroots groups, and we pushed and pushed and pushed. I knew men like Otis McDonald versus City of Chicago. That's a case that went all the way to the United States Supreme Court, affecting gun rights across the country. So at that time, this is the early 2000s, there was a lot of very big cases happening, a lot of stuff happening in state houses across the country, and I happened to get hitched to the wagon of some very bright minds and learned a lot. And ultimately, kind of the way I saw it is we needed to elect freedom-loving candidates in a local level for multiple reasons. One of them being that people often overlook, most people don't just become a senator or a congressman. Oftentimes those people are a state rep. They're a mayor. They are a city councilman. They're a county board person, et cetera. And so we're stacking a bench of players with representatives, not politicians, not leaders, but with people that truly represent. So I got involved in that, helped run some campaigns for sheriffs, state's attorneys, state reps, state senators, worked in a gubernatorial race, and that man won in our state. His name is Bruce Rauner. He's no longer the governor. We've got a pretty bad one now, but learned quite a bit, and I try to pass that on now because I think too often people in general, myself included at certain points in life, we don't see ourselves as a viable instrument of change in our communities. We see ourselves as little tiny cogs in a huge machine often, or we see ourselves as pawns in a game, and that's not what our founders intended. So I spent a lot of years, sometimes I look back and I feel bad about it because I was away from children, away from the family quite a bit at boring meetings, putting signs out in yards, out raising money. I was at dinners and lunches and things like that. I talk about this stuff because while most of my friends were at war doing very hard, laborsome things that cost some of them their lives and limbs, I was off at luncheons in dinners and things like that. So I don't want to sound like a complainer. I must predicate my point on that. I'm grateful that I was able to do that stuff. And so that was kind of my dovetail into that space. And I'm still working on it now. I'm helping some sheriff candidates across the country. I believe that the sheriff is one of the most important elected positions for many reasons, which we could go into if you want to. State's attorney is also of equal importance, and judges. People now are seeing crime spring up across the country, violence, mayhem, looting, etc. Judges are the people that are locking these people up or letting them out on the street. Judges are these people that are setting bonds or waiving bonds, and we elect these people. And it's important that we pay attention to that. And that's something in this space, the firearms, freedom-loving Second Amendment space, I too often I get a lot of pushback. I hear things to the effect of, I'm deluded. Mickey, you don't understand. We have no power. It's the Vanderbilts. It's the
George Soros
bankers that can.
Yeah.
It's and the fact is, I have sat in rooms with a dozen governors. I have sat in rooms with Congress people and senators, and it's just little old me. Nobody put me there. Nobody put me up to it. I didn't sell my soul. You inject yourself into that space and you go do the work, and you either do it or you don't. And I think if we all kind of banded together around the common sense and the common theme of protecting this fragile document, this Constitution that holds us all together, rather than bickering about these little individual points that are all important. They're all important, but we sometimes lose sight that the overarching concept of what holds the fabric of our republic together requires us to have some commonality and be on the same page.
I think that's awesome.
Answer your question?
Perfectly. And I couldn't have said it better, and I've said it all similar because we came to the same conclusion here in San Diego, which started San Diego County Gunners. You're absolutely right. Everything you said, bravo. Excellent job. That's really, really terrific, and thank you for doing so much. I can relate to every single word you said. The boring meetings, the luncheons, the idea of people. Honestly, they're just lazy in my eyes. They're just making an excuse. Oh, I'll never be able to make a difference. Well, yeah, you can. You're just choosing not to. And in fact, that's the exact reason that they set up the Constitution the way they set it up. The experiment is the country of the self-governed, and that means you got to actually put some effort into what's going on with your government. So congratulations, that's very, very cool. Now, how much say did county, like here, the sheriff pretty much had 100% control over carry permits? Was it similar in Illinois? Is that how that worked?
No, so we've got a statewide law, which is what I think
let's answer it on the. I'm so sorry, Mickey. Let's answer it on the other side of the break here.
Got it.
That's the teaser, though.
That's the teaser. Now write it down so you'll know what to ask him again when you come.
I have a mind like a what's that
bear
term?
Trap,
like a something.
It's like a bear trap. Yeah, you just can't remember.
Mousetrap.
Mousetrap.
I'm getting abused today.
She's
man.
good.
Jeez.
She's had a couple of really good
she's
singers.
just lobbing grenades
and
my
then
way.
she's not saying anything. She just smiles and goes back to working on her computer. Did you pick this music?
That's me playing right there.
Okay,
It's my little solo. Wait a minute. Right. Oh, that note was perfect right there. I really nailed that.
Hey, did you folks know we have a world-class flight training school right here in San Diego? Pilots can fly almost every day. We're close to the ocean as well as the desert and mountains. SDFTI instructors can help you learn to navigate around the Who came up with this? Border and military bases That's why San Diego is one of the best places to learn how to fly.
Kumbaya, Dave. Kumbaya.
I'm serious.
Enunciate.
You just go. Just give them a call at 858-569-1822. Everybody I know that's taken these courses, they love it. Mark Larson's and of the world. It's amazing. 858-569-1822.
Mickey, before we ask, so I asked before the break how much power local officials had and sheriffs. But before we do that, I wanted to go back to your story about unfortunately getting shot in the eye when you were a kid. Exact same thing happened to me. I was 5, and one of my brothers, I have an older brother, and one of his friends takes an air rifle, puts it right in my eye, and pulls the trigger. Now, it was not loaded, but I got this huge puff of air, and it scared me, and I cried, and I was terrified, and I thought I was 5 years old, and to this day, I cannot stand this guy. I don't know if I ever saw him again after that, but this is the reason I tell that story. Now, you forgave your guy, which is awesome, and I think that's truly, sincerely a great thing that says a lot about your character. I didn't forgive my guy.
You beat your guy to the pulp.
And no, I was too young. But a few years ago, I did a little Google search on him and found out that he did some time in jail. And I was a little satisfied.
Oh, you're terrible.
I felt a little good about that.
I can see why you're satisfied.
I know, right? I was thank you, Jackson.
The philosopher of the room.
Jackson, I know. Jackson
Foreshadowing with that incident.
He and I are always on the same page. Anyway, Mickey, that's my story. So we were talking about how much control did local officials have over carry permits and that sort of thing? How did that work in Illinois?
Well, so we have a statewide preemptive law, so it preempts local laws and ordinances. There was a period of time before the law took effect that allowed local ordinances to take effect. That being said, constitutional rights are not and should not be at the whim of a sheriff. But the reason that it was important to us as lawmakers, when it comes to specific things such as firearms, when we think of firearms, most people think of policemen and soldiers. So lawmakers go to law enforcement. So in our state, the Sheriff's Association, which is not a governmental body, it's an entity which most states have something like that, made up of sheriffs elected across the state. They were polled for their opinions. The State Chiefs of Police Association, those types of organizations are polled and looked at for their opinion. So we wanted to ensure that we had people in office that understood that it's a right, and it's not something that's bestowed on us at the whim or will of some sheriff or some elected official. So in our state, the Constitution governs it, not the sheriffs. Where your state, I do believe, as you've stated, it's okayed by the sheriff, which many states have such laws.
Well, they certainly had a lot more control prior to Bruin. And then one of our biggest victory was just a couple years into, this is San Diego County gun owners I'm talking about. Our biggest victory was getting the sheriff to issue long before the Bruin case happened, which we're very, very happy. But yeah, the sheriffs it was designed, the way it's written is that the sheriffs had a ton of authority and a ton of discretion, and it was all very subjective here in California. So how excited were you guys when the McDonald case came through Chicago?
Mm-hmm. And that was a nationwide win. That case is cited in on the national level often. The other reason sheriffs are so important, the sheriff is a bulwark for the people. And I think anybody listening should look up the history of the sheriff. The sheriff really was a tax collector. In ancient times, it's one of the oldest institutions that we have. It's the king. Old English law is where it originated from. But the sheriff is a man or a woman of the people. They're there to represent us and protect us. And in the olden days, the king would tell the sheriff, there is a man or a woman that needs to be caught. And posse comitatus, the posse like you see in the old West movies, for a sheriff to tell the posse round up and we're going to go get the bad guy. That was the king saying, I empower you, sir, to go catch this bad man that stole the king's deer or whatever the heck it was. That person that we elect stands as a bulwark between us and federal overreach, stands as a bulwark between us and all sorts of badness. Not that we can't protect ourselves, but that office is very important. There's been a push in this country to no longer elect sheriffs, but have them appointed by county governments or something like that. And the reason being is that they would be beholden to politicians and no longer to the people and to the Constitution. And that is, I think, something that people should pay attention to. A lot of times folks think about a sheriff and they think of cops. And yes, it's a law enforcement officer, but more importantly, that is the chief representative of law enforcement in your community. And I think the key word is representative. They serve the people. That's one of their jobs as well, right? To serve documents from the courts. So one of the reasons that I got so specific about that, we see it often. My state, our governor and state legislature just did pass a very anti-constitutional set of gun bills that limit a bunch of ownership and all kinds of junk that folks like you in California have been dealing with for a long time. And the sheriffs across our state stood up to them. They're saying, we're not going to enforce this stuff in our county. And that doesn't mean that a city police chief wouldn't enforce it. It doesn't mean the state police aren't going to enforce it. It doesn't mean any of that. But it means at the very least that the chief law officer in each specific county, and it was most of our counties that spoke out, that means something. And it's a political statement as well. It says something to the lawmakers. Hey, wait a second, maybe we got something wrong here. It says something to the people as well. Hey, I got your back. And I think that is one of the main things, this whole concept that I'm talking about, is why it's so important that we get good people into these offices. And I'll say it on your show, anybody running for sheriff or state's attorney out on your coast, I believe you guys call them something different, a district attorney. If somebody ever needs help with that or wants advice, reach out, and I will definitely offer any services I can to them, as long as the candidate is going to back the things that we believe in.
And the organization that you're affiliated with is the McHenry County Right to Carry. Is that the organization's name?
That is. So that organization sprang up out of nothing as this became a fight here 10, 11, 12 years ago in our county. It does still technically exist, except now we don't have that type of push. We passed that law. But there's several great organizations in my state that we work with, and we to this day run one of the largest. When I say we, I mean we here in Illinois. We run one of the largest Second Amendment gathering and lobbying days in the country called IEGO, Illinois Gun Owner Lobby Day, which brings thousands of people to our state capitol annually to lobby our state reps and senators and let them know what we expect from them.
Oh, that's cool. Gold, Gun Owner Lobby Day. I like that. I might
iGold. Yeah.
Yeah, iGold. I might. We might. Can we steal that? We might steal that. That's a really great idea.
Well, you wouldn't be stealing it from me, but yeah.
All right.
You could borrow it.
Maybe we'll borrow it. We'll rebrand it. We'll leave off the I, but
there you go.
So we have a co-host here, Mickey, who's he's a competitive shooter. He practices weekly. He's 9 years old, and he his favorite gun is he's got a 9mm Glock. He's got a 9mm SIG, and I think he goes back and forth deciding which one is his favorite every other week. But he's got a question for you, if you don't mind. Action Jackson, fire it up.
What's your favorite gun?
Oh, good question.
If I could only pick one gun, my favorite gun
2 minutes
would probably be a Smith & Wesson 686 Plus.
Look at this guy.
That's a 7-shot 357 revolver.
This guy, I swear, you're like the. I mean, gee, named like Mickey Schuch. He's a firearms instructor, and he with a 7-shot revolver, 357, drives a Ford F-150. I mean, golly, man, jeez.
Is that your carry gun? How do you carry that?
No, I carry a Glock, but he asked me favorites.
Yeah, he said your favorite. So, well, that's awesome, Mickey. Illinois is lucky to have you, my friend. Thank you so much. What a great interview, and I appreciate everything that you're doing.
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Hey, can I
Thanks.
say one thing?
Sure.
Daisy Duke drove a 1974 Plymouth Roadrunner. I don't want to leave this with the wrong car.
Thank you for clarifying.
Good man. We appreciate that. Hey, we look forward to talking to you down the road because I know you're coming back.
Thanks, guys.
See you, man.
All right. Hey, Action Jackson.
What?
Think we ought to take a break?
I certainly do think we shall take a break.
Because you're looking kind of tired. You might need to take a break. You ready? Don't let her touch that. That's yours. You have to her ask permission to touch your microphone. I got to tell you, Mike. If you don't look at this video from K1 Speed with Action Jackson in it before you
He's
leave,
killing it.
Did you see it? No, you didn't.
No.
I'm telling you.
not.
I know that's his first race.
Yeah.
Well, first league.
Well,
Get it right.
whatever. You got to watch
Together.
it. It's
All right.
amazing.
Okay.
I know, and then gun owners strive to be the ounce of prevention in the fight for your gun rights. How do they do it? They do it by fundraising and getting local pro-gun candidates elected. So become a member today. Go to iegunowners.com/join and join the growing number of responsible gun owners stepping up to defend our Second Amendment rights. That's iegunowners.com/join. I got to ask one more question of Action Jackson.
Sure.
Yes.
So when you got done, did the red helmet come talk to you or say anything to you?
Surprisingly not.
Really?
I thought they might say something.
You were expecting maybe a little confrontation?
Yeah.
Wow, nice job. Well, you know what? He must have liked what you did. I mean, you didn't do anything bad.
No.
I mean, you went into spots where he should have been in before you got in.
Yes.
Yeah, by the way, very, very good. I just want you to know that.
Are you?
Nice job, Jackson.
Yeah, right out of the box. Next race, you and Mike. Okay, and
I'm on a horse.
No, I'm putting you in a go-kart.
I'm in my Jeep.
No, we're putting you in the go-kart.
I don't think I can get in that go-kart.
We probably can't.
No.
We could get him in. Can't get him out.
Maybe
but
I
we
can
can
ride
get him
on
in.
top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you heard that, and he's in.
All right. Okay.
All right, let's
All right. Gun Owners Radio Range Day on April 23rd.
Continue.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
April 23rd. Shoot outdoors. Shoot on steel. Move and shoot in the Grove. Ex nihilo. Somebody actually emailed and told me how to pronounce it, what it means in Latin. I'm still screwing it up.
Wait.
Franklin Armory, screwing that up too. Franklin Armory will have products for demo. It's normally $100, but it's only $20 for 10 ring members. This, of course, is Gun Owners Radio Range Day on April 23rd. Subscribe and win. So if you subscribe to Gun Owners Radio's newsletter, you could win a cool prize. This week's winner is Gustavo Velasquez. Congratulations, Gustavo. Orange County Gun Owners has their gun prom on May 20, 2023. That's coming up, so go to gunprom.com. Buy your tickets. Joe Dramisi is hosting a 4-hour pepper spray and situational awareness class on Saturday, March 18th. It's in El Cajon, and you can sign up by going to uscca.com. Their website will have his training listed, and win free training. Win a 2-hour drawing from the holster with Mike Pettengill. Enter the drawing at gunownersradio.com/train. gunownersradio.com/train. Okay. Our newest segment, my very favorite segment, Curtain Call. So what do we got for
music?
Yeah.
Did you come up with that?
No, I think it was
Jackson did.
It was one of you guys.
What? No.
No, don't take. Yeah. Hey, we got to come up with some music.
Yeah.
Is it detective music?
I have no
Ooh,
idea.
that's not a bad idea, actually. Ooh.
That actually sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job, Dave.
I know. That's
Not bad.
kind of how I
Pink
thought.
Panther.
How about
Oh, the Pink Panther.
You're not Inspector Clouseau or anything like that.
No, think about it. I think Pink Panther would be a good song for it.
All right, you know what? Let's actually get to the segment, and maybe we
Do
can
we
talk
digress?
About
Do we
maybe we
digress?
can talk
Just a
about
little
the
Off air?
the music a little some other time.
All right.
Okay, go ahead. An unprovoked attack waiting for Euros. Go for it. Curtain call.
Silent G. So the video that I found, it was an incident that happened. I don't recall the state that it happened in. However, our guest coming up is going to be a gentleman from the video, so we can any unanswered questions, we'll be able to get that info. So it was an incident that happened, much like, you know, you go out and you hang out with friends, you go get some dinner. The incident, according to the timestamp on the video, happened around 6:30 in the evening. So it wasn't ridiculously late. You know how you talk about, you know, don't do stupid things at stupid times, going stupid places with stupid people. Didn't really fit that. So this is a group of guys out getting Euros, right? They were having a good time, hanging out together. They were out at this Euro place. According to the article in the video, they were just hanging out outside, laughing, kind of having fun, just doing whatever guys do. There was a man in a vehicle, I don't know if I want to call him a gentleman, in the parking lot, I guess heard the laughter and took it a little personal, thought that it might have been directed to him. The article states that he made his way back around the parking lot. It sounds like he might have circled back or backed up. I'm not sure exactly how his movement happened. Confronted it, didn't get out of his vehicle, but confronted this group of guys saying, hey, what are you laughing at? You know, kind of, is that directed to me? What's that? Being very confrontational. And basically it came down to this guy in this vehicle took offense to whatever he heard. Wasn't directed to him, but he took it as if it was. And it just kind of goes to show, you know, out in the world, it just shows people will be irrational. They're going to take things the wrong way. They're going to take things personal, whether they're right in the mind or not. They're just going to take things. You never know where people are going to come from. So what does he do when he thought he was being put down? He decided to draw a rifle. Happened to have it in his vehicle. Pulled a rifle out, took some shots. The defender, his name is Igor. We'll have him up next. He happened to be a concealed carry. And so he was able to draw his weapon, fired his weapon in defense, and this man in this vehicle with the rifle just drove off. According to the article, Igor did make a 911 phone call. He hung around for about 30 minutes. Police never showed. So imagine that you call police, report a shooting.
Well, we not surprised.
Right. Well, I was. I guess I have hope. You think with the reports of shots fired, I would hope that they would show.
would be a red flag.
Right. It was more than just someone drew on me. There was actually rounds fired. There was an exchange of gunfire both ways. As far as we know, nobody was hit. It appeared to be the distance between the shooters was about a car length. They were shooting. There was a vehicle between Igor and this man with a rifle. So about a car length. Imagine that's not, what is that? Maybe six yards maybe? What do we practice at? You think that a shot that close would be doable, right? Well, in a defense of your life situation, stress, adrenaline, things are going. Nobody was hit either way.
Interesting.
That they know of.
But it's interesting you brought that up.
Do you hit paper?
No, but I'm thinking the same thing. I'm thinking
there's been incidents, yards, like 2-3 yards apart, and they miss.
James Cagney does it just so easily. It's just within feet. That's how I get it.
Doesn't even aim. So.
James Cagney? Really?
You're over there so quiet.
James Cagney.
But he likes black.
Well, I couldn't think of the really good bad guy.
How about there's so many references in the last. There are so many people you could have picked who actually, in the last 58 years of cinema and TV. But James Cagney. All right.
Roll with it.
All right. Sorry. Go ahead.
You all right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fine. That was
Breathe.
good. That was good.
So, police never came. Igor eventually left, and that was the end. And it's just shows you never know when you leave your home. You think you're just going to go home and go pick up dinner real quick.
Yeah.
A lot of people that can still carry. I don't know. A lot of people I talk to, some carry all the time. Every time they go somewhere, every time they leave their home, some carry in their home. Others, they think, hey, I'm not going anywhere dangerous or bad. I don't feel like doing it today. You never know.
I'm not going to put my seatbelt on.
Right.
I'm just going to
across
the
the street.
7-Eleven.
Right. Yeah. You never know. So you never, you can't, and if you did know, would you go? Of course not.
No.
You never know.
Right. Oh, well, and that's the whole point. People seem to have a reason to carry.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're supposed to carry. So
right.
You have a reason to. You have to.
You wait until you have a reason. And
maybe
it's
we
be too
didn't
late.
make the test hard enough for you to want to wear it every day.
It's one of the things to talk about in the CCW seminar is that you have to know where you can carry, and a lot of people say, well, if I don't know I can carry there, I just won't carry. Well, there is a danger in not carrying, and this is exactly what you're describing.
Right.
So there's a danger in carrying, and going into the wrong place, but there is a real danger in not carrying as well.
How many people carry
Where they're not
and would
supposed to.
rather say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see that sign."
What do they say? Judged
Well,
by 12 rather
that's-
than carried by 6.
That's a whole conversation, though, Dave. A gun-free zone. That's a whole conversation. You're not breaking any laws.
Exactly.
There are certain places, federal. There's certain land. That's different than a gun-free zone.
That's my point exactly.
Right.
A lot of companies waste an enormous amount of money on marketing. The design is excellent, the photos are beautiful, and your website looks great on your phone. But it's just not getting customers. Why? Because you don't have the words that make people buy. But now you can fix that with Sage Tree. Sage Tree can help you find the words that make it easy for your customer to understand what you do and how to buy from you. Stop wasting money today and schedule a call. Getting started is easy. Just visit sagetree.com and click on the Schedule an Appointment button. That's sagetree.com and click on the Schedule the Call button.
All right. So we talked a little bit about the article.
Yes.
About the incident with Igor, and now we have actually Igor on the phone. So we can hear straight from the mouth of the man who was there.
Hey, Igor, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourselves?
I'm not doing bad. So, Alisha, it's all yours.
All me. So, hey, Igor, glad you're with us today.
Hey, Alisha.
Hey. I know that we shared your story, and you saw that we shared, and there was a reach out that happened. I'm glad that we were able to connect and that you're here with us today.
That's good to hear. I'm sorry, I wanted to correct some stuff. There was no gunshots.
There wasn't? Okay, so the article didn't state that.
No.
Good. I'm glad you're here to set the article.
I don't. Yeah, I'm here.
Glad you're here to set it straight.
I made it.
So it's simply pointing.
Yeah, pretty much. I'll just go from the beginning.
Yeah, please do.
In Washington, it's technically legal to have a few drinks, and just as long as you're not in a place that's restricted for 21 and over, you're fine to be in there with a firearm and, you've had a drink or whatever. But we were up the street at my friend's house. It was his birthday. We're just kind of hanging out. Euro sounded great. We drive over there, and when we're pulling in, there's a black car, sedan, just tailing us. And I kind of noticed that stuff around me, but I'm like, it's just weird people, Portland kind of leaks into Vancouver. And so, because we're right across the river, and we hop out of the car. I make a joke to my friend on our way out of the car, and he starts he makes this laugh that's super, he's really annoying with it, super loud, obnoxious, and, we don't think anything of it. I kind of hear murmuring behind me, kind of turn around, glance, kind of see these guys driving past. I don't really see them, but I kind of hear stuff coming out of their car, and I'm like, whatever. Hop into the shop, and we're right after we order, I see them go down in the parking lot and turn around and come back. And I was like, oh, they mean trouble, And then I might have overthought it, but I was like, hey, I'm one of those people who can really de-escalate a situation, and I'm the only one with a firearm on me. I was like, hey, give me the keys. I'm going to go pretend to grab my wallet and just see what these guys are up to, hopefully just be like, hey, miscommunication. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Was there more than one guy in the car or the vehicle?
Two. The guy that pulled, there was a passenger and a driver from what I can see.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I kind of just step out, and you can see he kind of waves at me. I go, what's up? And pretend like I'm not noticing him. I'm not going out there to confront him. I'm just going out to grab my wallet. And, but he kind of waves me down, and he's just, are you laughing at me? And then before I can answer, de-escalate, or do anything, he pretty much just goes, I'll give you something to F and laugh about, and just starts pulling out an AK from the passenger seat. And I'm like, all right. This got a little more exciting.
But you didn't expect that day?
Yeah, and I'm one of those people. I'm pretty non-assuming. I'm not threatening or anything, and I don't go out and about and threaten people. So it was, I don't know, it was weird, but I kind of messed up where I dropped behind the engine of the vehicle. I knew to do that, and I'm fit enough that I can just, almost lay down. But I took a seat there. I actually had one in the chamber, but I was like, I'm not going up without knowing that there's one in the chamber, so racked it again. And I should have moved to the side, but I stood up exactly where I was and pointed a red dot at his face, but he was already retreating the firearm, and I was like, I don't want to try to shoot him, because I'm a fairly good shot, but I'm not, especially in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't trust yourself, and I was just thinking, if I start having shoot out this guy, it's not my drop wasn't bad, but his was. So if he starts returning, it's like, good friend of mine, he has 2 kids in there. It's another friend of mine's birthday. It's like, there's all the ladies making euros, other people. It's like, if something happens, even if I take him out, but he returned fire because I shot first, I couldn't live with that on my conscience. So I was like, if he doesn't shoot, I don't shoot. And he was already kind of dipping back into the vehicle.
Well, that's great that you had the discernment, because, making those decisions in those quick moments, not many people may be able to kind of make that decision to change.
Most people would just shoot.
Taking that shot.
They would have taken it without thinking.
Yep.
Right.
Good job on your side.
And it would have, I have actually used SCCA or whatever it's called.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I've had it for like a year at least, or 2 years probably now. And so I wasn't like worried about the financial side. But I'm like, yeah, I've been drinking, and so I'm going to jail, and my life is going to be uprooted. And then I have this guy's life on my hands, probably his passenger, which, he's not a good person, and, maybe I should have taken care of business, but at the same time, it's like, that would have made life very fun and interesting for like years to come. So I just, on that split second, I thought of like 5 different reasons and said, this is the decision I'm making.
What state did this take place in?
This is Vancouver, Washington.
Okay.
This is across the river.
Gotcha.
From Portland.
Gotcha. Yeah. Because, nowadays you almost have to figure out what state you're in as to what's going to happen if you would have said take the shot. Some states you would have been fine, and some states you wouldn't be fine. So,
got to know the laws of your state. Absolutely.
Yeah. Because you just, we gotta. Yeah, it's terrible.
And here in California, any amount of alcohol he would have lost his innocence in defense.
Yeah.
Know your state.
For sure.
Yeah.
So what'd you learn? Is there anything in particular where is there something you would have done different, or something you learned, or
Actually, kind of when this video came out, I got on active self-protection, and sorry if there's kids yelling in the background.
No, they're fine. Just
nephews are yelling.
Lock them up.
They're bullying each other. Typical. But active self-protection did a video of it, and he kind of mentioned something, and it was should have moved, because I just kind of popped up in the same spot, whether shooting or not. I should have, not been predictable. That's a big deal. The other stuff would be personal, I learned.
Which was what?
It was personal.
Oh, I'll say, yeah, it's, I was fine for the first 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, I was fine. And then I didn't sleep all the next night, or that night, next night. Well, it was like random naps for like an hour. I found myself like trembling for no reason. Just kind of like shock.
Yeah.
And so I'm really calm. I'm a really calm person in the moment, but I think after the fact kind of hit me harder than anything.
Well,
I'm really glad that you said that, and that's kind of what I wanted to go that direction. That's what I was fishing for, because a situation like this, I mean, you see these guys walking around with T-shirts and bumper stickers talking about how they're so bad, whatever, and they're tough, and the reality is this is lethal force is something extremely serious, right, and could affect
Change your
all
life.
kinds of things.
It's a huge responsibility.
So I'm glad that you.
Yeah, hats off.
I'm glad that you talked about that, because I think that that's something extremely important. I'm sorry that you had to go through that. That's very, very horrible, but fantastic decision making, and good job.
For sure, thank you. I think another thing that was difficult was speaking to people about it, because I'm not like incredibly rational. I'm not the smartest guy around, but at the end of the day, some people were just like, close people to me, yo, you should have just lit them up. You should have done this, you should have done that. And it's like,
yeah, right.
Those are the people I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I know it feels that way, and I'm going to be able to question that every single night for the rest of my life. But
you made the right
at the
choice.
same time, I think.
Oh no, you made the right.
Tell all those people to take their big red nose and their big red shoes and get back in their clown car and go stuff their opinions. It's ridiculous.
Or just tell them John Wick's new movie's coming out.
ridiculous.
Just go rent it.
Everybody's so tough.
Yeah.
Hey,
we got somebody for you.
Yeah, we got our co-host has a question for you. His name's Action Jackson. He's a competitive shooter. He's 9 years old. He's got a question for you. Go for it.
9 years old, competitive
What's
shooter.
up, Jackson?
Go for it.
What's your favorite gun?
Oh, good question.
Dang. It depends on what you're asking.
Everybody says that.
I would say the gun I was using at the time was a Glock 48. I had the Glock 43X. It was nice, but it's a little snappier, so I wanted something a little more, more of a straight shooter, and it has a half-inch longer barrel, so it's perfect. So that's what I'm running right now, but Dream Gun, Intervention, it's like $12,000. I'll never afford it, but it would be amazing to shoot 3 miles just because you feel like it.
Alisha has one. Right.
Oh, yeah.
Don't you have one, Alisha?
No, I have a question for you, though, Igor. So it mentioned that you made that call, a 911 call that night. Police authorities never arrived. Was there ever any contact from anyone after, like when the video came out, or did anybody ever reach out as far as law enforcement goes?
Yeah, so I think I might have said 30 minutes, but it was probably more like 15, 20 minutes. I think I was just so, time was going so fast or so slow.
Right.
And, we kind of just hung out, and we had the shop call the police. We didn't call the police. And I left my number and my email, and, I'm super active. And it's really, I'll answer the phone. So, pretty much.
Okay.
All right, buddy. Hey,
I got out of there because I didn't want to be in a glass house.
I actually have one more question, but let's wait. Can you hold on until after the break? Hang in there for one more second.
I'm hanging
Igor.
out.
All right. I just have one quick question for you after the break. All right.
Hey, is there a better tool that empowers a woman to defend against an attacker that's hundreds of pounds bigger?
Nope.
That's why it's so important for women to learn how to defend themselves with the most effective self-defense tool ever invented. For women, led by women, the Not Me program is designed to help with training, purchasing a gun, and getting a concealed carry permit. And guess what? It's free. To sign up, go to notmesd.org. The program is also available in Orange County and England Empire. Get help today with notmesd.org.
All right, so we have one more question for you, Igor. Are you ready? Igor, are you there, bud?
He hung up on you.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay, there you are. So I one more question. So on your Facebook page, it says you've been in a relationship since 9/11/2001. What relationship? Because the rest of the rest of the world was distracted. Who exactly were you asking out on 9/11/2001?
See, that's one of those things. So I kind of set myself up for failure in the future, and that's probably like middle school me setting myself up.
Oh, all right. So you didn't get married on that day or anything like that?
No, I'm still looking. I'll find her one day.
You'll find her.
He's out there.
Or she'll find you. Listen, man, you just got a bunch of... We should figure out like a weekly segment for Igor to come on it. No?
That's hilarious.
All right, man. Hey, thank you for taking the time. Appreciate you. And, thanks for coming on. And I'm glad you're okay, okay?
Of course. Yeah. Thank you so much, man. Have a great day.
Hey,
Talk
if
to
you
you
ever
soon.
get down here and he takes you to lunch and he says we're going to go to Denny's for spaghetti, don't.
Go with me.
No.
No.
Nah. Stop
Denny's spaghetti is some of the best spaghetti.
it. See what we have to put up with?
False.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely wrong.
You're the best, man. Thanks a lot. That was fun. All right.
I'm telling you, we should figure out stuff.
I know. You should.
That's a segment. That's a segment waiting to happen.
I have to say, I think
No one
you're
ever
right.
trusts me.
I trust you.
Okay, so slightly less as exciting, but but equally as unfortunate, frankly. The city of Irvine has decided that they are going to jump into gun control. The Irvine City Council, specifically Kathleen Treseder, she is introducing some gun storage ordinance, which means that if you live in the city of Irvine, you're going to have to store your firearm. If this passes, you're going to have to store your firearm unless you're actually touching it. It's going to have to be basically disassembled unless you're actually touching the firearm. Now, I want to read this. This is the resolution that introduces the regulation, okay? So, whereas unsecured guns may increase the likelihood of crime and violence through an increased risk of gun theft. An increase, so guns increase the likelihood of crime. Does anybody agree with that? Unless you're just vehemently anti-gun for and everything.
Nope.
So someone is sitting around. It makes it sound like someone is on the right path. They went to college and got their degree, and of course they're keeping their nose clean, and they have this fantastic job behind a desk, and they're making good money. But here's a gun. Now I'm going to commit some crime. It's total malarkey. Whereas each year, an estimated 200,000 to 500,000 guns are stolen, and many are funneled into the underground market. Now, that's fairly accurate. I don't know about the number. Wouldn't mind looking that up to see if it really is 200,000 to 500,000 guns. But the reality is, folks, as gun owners, this is something that we can help with. Guns are stolen. Many of the guns that criminals do use are stolen guns. And we talked with our one guest, Mr. Schuch, that if you don't take responsibility, the government will. So, of course, best practice: do everything you can to make sure your gun isn't stolen. It's not your fault if it is, but that's one thing you can do to make sure that these kinds of bad laws aren't introduced, and we don't have. We're not giving them ammo. Is to make sure that you do have, do the best practices. Make sure you do, lock up your gun if you're not using it or whatever. Don't compromise your safety, but do everything you can to make sure that your guns don't get stolen. Access to unsecured firearms contribute to gun violence among children and teens. Access to unsecured firearms contributes to gun violence among children and teens. I think this is really interesting in that. What are they saying here? Are they saying that children and teens, become career criminals? Is that what they're talking about when they talk about gun violence? Or, what are they? But the more important thing here is they're asking to pass this regulation because children and teens could get access to firearms that are not secured. That's already illegal.
I was going to say.
That's already a state law, right? So. This is a lie. This regulation is not going to do anything.
You think people that won't take the minute or the second or whatever the timing is to lock up your firearm are going to be willing to take it apart to be compliant with the law then? If they're going to disregard the existing law, they're not going to comply with a furtherance of making it more complicated.
Exactly. Well, by the way, to be clear, you don't have to take it apart in Irvine, but it has to be secure. One of the ways to secure it is, of course, take it apart or put it in a safe. But that's already state law. If children getting a hold of firearms is already illegal.
Children and felons, it's already illegal.
It's already illegal. So this regulation.
Who there should tell that person? Excuse me, we already have that law.
Well, we're going to do that, but guess how much they're going to care? Zero much.
True.
The amount that they're going to care would equal zero. Whereas despite the safety risks, the majority of gun owners do not secure all their firearms. This is an accurate statement. Now, again, is this bad? So let's talk about what's wrong with regulations forcing you to secure firearms? In general, if you shouldn't leave firearms just laying around. That seems like a good statement. But that also is the premise of that statement is that gun owners are irresponsible. Number one, that's just something gun owners do, is just leave guns lying around. Number two, that firearms somehow are the cause of crime, and that's simply not true. Criminals are the cause of crime. But the biggest problem with these storage laws when it comes to firearms is it prevents, first off, they're completely unenforceable unless you're just going to send cops door to door. And, if you're not going to do that, then why would you have this law on the books? But second, if you do have, you don't have children, you're a single woman that lives at home, you leave your gun on the nightstand while you get ready for bed or something like that. You know what I mean? Like forcing someone to secure a gun when they have, inside their home, inside their castle, forcing them to change the way that they defend themselves, it could very well lead to someone's inability to defend themselves. So when you ask these questions like, oh, well, gee, you just want, guns just lying around, it's just okay for people. That's not what we're saying here. And I reject the premise because gun owners are extremely safe. Gun owners commit very few crimes compared to the general population, compared to subgroups like police officers. But when they have these discussions, they set the context. They make the premise as if gun owners are irresponsible, as if guns are dangerous, as if they somehow cause crime. And that's simply untrue. Putting aside how, stepping into somebody's home and saying, hey, this is how you have to conduct yourself inside your home, is as egregiously horrible as that is. This whole thing is designed to make gun owners look like villains. That's really what it is. They can't enforce it. They're using language that, distorts reality. And that's the big danger. That's why we stand up to this stuff. It's not because we think that guns shouldn't be in safes ever, but it's because of what they're doing. Well, this isn't actually going to help anybody. It isn't actually going to, prevent crime. What it is actually going to do is it's going to further the narrative that gun owners are irresponsible.
Right.
And I think that's a huge problem.
I think it's terrible.
So, whereas we are all, listen to this. This is the final whereas. Whereas we are all safer when guns are stored, unloaded, locked, and separate from ammunition.
In a block.
Do you agree?
In a block of cement.
Do you agree with that? Are we all safer if every firearm out there is stored and unloaded? And
okay, if you want to say all, as in legal and illegal, but no, absolutely not.
We've frequently made the case. I just, this bias against firearms, that's all this is about. This is a canned resolution, a canned regulation that's been going up and down the coast of California.
See, that's why I'm not a fan of sorry.
What do you mean?
I'm not a fan of saying, I'm sorry.
What do you mean? How does that?
Well, because you put a rule in, you put a law in, and they think everything's going to be fine. Somebody dies, and they go, condolences to the family. No, they should have never died. Why do you allow that to happen by having the rules and the regulations and all that insanity? Oh, it just makes me crazy.
Well, they're going to vote on this. Orange County Gun Owners is going to announce efforts to oppose it. That should come out probably early this week, like tomorrow or the next day. But this is really happening. This is an actuality, and it's extremely important, and it's the very reason that we exist and focus on the city level is because that's where they're bringing the fight. A lot of people ask, well, gee, what's your agenda? We don't have an agenda. Our agenda is standing in the way of other people's agendas.
That's right.
That's why we exist.
Yeah.
We don't come with the we're not going to force you to own a gun. We're not going to force you to defend yourself. We're not going to force you to do anything other than stop forcing us to do things.
Right. And you will be educated.
And you will be educated, exactly. And as we talk about, sane, trained, law-abiding gun owners.
That's it. Bottom line, A to Z.
What do you think, Dave?
I think it's the fight, we got a long way to go.
We do. And Irvine's not exactly a small city.
No.
It's pretty big.
No. But I'm surprised we have our foot in the door, and we still have our foot in the door.
And things are changing. The demographics are changing. I think that 20 years ago, for people to suggest that Irvine would be passing, horribly restrictive anti-gun laws, they would be shocked. But here we are.
Hey, a self-defense event happens in seconds. And in the time it takes to listen to this commercial, your life could change forever. I pray you're never forced to shoot in self-defense, but if you must, then you must be ready. That's why the USCCA exists, because every responsibly armed American should have the training and education to navigate a self-defense situation. And should you ever need it, the 24/7 Critical Race Response Team is right there for you. To discover more about the USCCA, visit uscca.com/GOR. Act now, because the life you save could be your own. That's uscca.com/GOR.
All right, everybody's favorite segment, Stump My Nephew.
All right. I didn't know you had a nephew.
No, not my nephew. Mike's nephew.
Oh, excuse him. Wow. So what do you got for him? Hey, are you there, Sam?
Yeah, how are you guys?
We're doing good. How about you? Everything good?
Fine.
How's the weather back there?
Snowy.
Yeah, we just got some, we had sun. Now we got overcast. All right, kid, what do you got for him?
Peter from Reno asks, what gun was nicknamed the Hitler's Buzzsaw?
That would be Hitler's Buzzsaw.
And who sent that in? Peter from Reno.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Reno, Nevada.
Thanks very much for writing in, Peter. Hitler's Buzzsaw is a term in the vernacular. I don't know if it was contemporary to World War II. I think it did come from that time frame, but either way, you'll hear people use it now to refer to predominantly the MG42. Though I suppose you could apply the same moniker to the MG34, which is very similar. It's a general-purpose machine gun or family of general-purpose machine guns produced by Nazi Germany before and during World War II, and the name comes from its very rapid rate of fire in the neighborhood of, depending on variant, somewhere between 1,100 and about 1,400 rounds per minute.
Okay, Alisha, lay it on him.
Well, first of all, he's right.
Absolutely. 100%
Absolutely.
correct.
So, but here's...
Not everybody.
Taking it further. So he's absolutely correct in everything he stated. So here's the answer that we were provided. It's nicknamed based on a blistering rate of fire. The MG42 machine gun was an imposing weapon, to say the least. Called the most feared German gun on the World War II battlefield, Hitler's Buzzsaw was an upgrade from the already devastating MG34. The MG42 machine gun's high cyclic rate of about 1,200 rounds per minute gave it a distinct and intimidating sound, very alien to Allied troops training around slower firing weapons. At that speed, individual gunshots are replaced with a steady, disturbing roar, earning the MG42 a terrifying reputation.
Can't even imagine. Can you, Sam?
No.
No. Things those kids went through, boy, I tell you, it's mind-boggling until you'll read something like that. And to know that a country was able to do that and what they utilized it for. Scary. All right. So your uncle just jumped on his Jeep, and I don't know where he's going, but he just bailed out of here. So
probably to a repair shop.
Probably. Oh, nice shot. No, he got new windows. He got a new hard top. He's all decked out. He thinks I says, well, when are you going to take it off road? So we'll have to wait and see how that comes together. So you have a question for Sam?
What's your blog about this week?
My blog post for this past week is, first of all, you can all read it on the SDCGO blog as well as the blogs of the sister organizations. Just go to San Diego County gunowners.com/blog. Or whatever the corresponding URL is for your local organization if you live in Orange County or Inland Empire. This week, I did some more myth busting. It's always kind of a fun topic. And I addressed the topic of nobody needs that. Why do you need an AR-15? And I imagine it's especially tough in California because you guys have had this notorious long-standing assault weapons ban. So you are kind of in a position where you have to justify yourselves to unfriendly lay people who don't really understand the subject. And so what I do in the blog post is I basically go down the list of all these reasons why. Yeah, people say, oh, AR-15 scary, whatever, we should ban them because just they find them scary. And so I go down the list of all these reasons why, no, it's actually a useful family of firearms for hunting, for self-defense, for sport shooting, and so on.
And do you like in the article, as you scroll through, you actually have all those topics labeled individually, so you can kind of jump to your favorite logic?
I do, yeah. For some of these blog posts that do myth busting, and actually for a lot of them, the intent is not just that people who already agree with me will read them. It's so that people who are in the orgs and people just in general who agree with the pro-2A sentiment can then pass those pieces on to their friends and family members who maybe don't really understand the topic, maybe anti-gun but are uninformed. And I try to explain things in terms everyone can understand.
And that is so important. That is so important because a lot of times people in it, whatever, I don't care if it's guns, golf, motorsports, they all have a tendency, if they're super passionate, going way beyond what the consumer will ever understand. So that's very good that you realize that starting out doing blogs as early as you have.
Well, I think it's important. And as I've said before, outreach is the only way to bring more people into our side, the only effective way to do it.
So, Sam, working in the gun shop that you work in, how often does that question get asked? Do you actually get asked that quite a bit? Like, why would I need an AR?
Generally not, because a lot of the people coming into gun stores were already either somewhat pro-2A or at the very least somewhat pro-2A, somewhat interested in owning firearms. So they generally, even if they did want to ask, they probably wouldn't feel comfortable asking that. But it's something you hear a lot on the news, such that you could even call it news.
Absolutely.
I think you probably get that question asked more in California.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about it's California. I know.
I only say that because of the people that come into California.
It's such a hot topic here.
It's a hot topic. We don't sell them we don't have them like a lot of other people do. And I think people are curious. They may go into a gun store and say, why do you even need one of these?
I know I've had quite a few people that come in for private lessons on handguns, it happens to come up just in conversation, just as we're sitting there across the table from each other, or maybe we're on the range, whatever it may be, and that does sometimes come up. Like, hey, because a lot of the people that I work with are new; they're new to handguns overall, and a number of them, vast number lately, have been people that were anti-gun until the last, COVID and the riots. And, it's kind of woken people up and they're starting to kind of come around. And I'm glad that they're asking that question because it shows that they have a willingness to hear. And they're not just simply, these evil black guns. They're actually wanting to know. They're starting to get curious and they're looking for that. And I'm starting to find that actually more often than I expected.
Yeah.
But it's a different environment. Sam's in a different state. He's on the sales side of it. I do the instruction part. So it's a different clientele.
Yeah, but you got pretty strict gun rules back there, right? On your state?
No, not. Yes and no. More strict than a lot of the other states in the South and the Southeast, but less strict than all the big names like in New England, those states there, and on the West Coast. So we have some kind of frustrating things, but we generally don't have bans.
Right. So you don't have a roster.
Right, exactly. Virginia is kind of weird in that the population is split almost 50-50 urban and rural, split almost 50-50 red and blue. It goes back and forth in elections. It's demographically very interesting when you get to political issues like that.
Always amazes me how we can get 50-50 on anything. It just mind boggles me that, well, here we go, this state's 50-50. Well, how could that be? It makes no sense. But anyway, all right, buddy. we'll let you go. Thank you much. That was awesome as usual. And congratulations. You saved Mike whatever he's going to give away.
Well, thanks very much for having me on as always, and thank you everyone for listening. Have a good night.
All right, buddy.
Sam.
Take care and say hi to the family.
So Peter from Reno, he will get a shirt or hat.
Yeah,
he just doesn't get the big prize.
Okay, why do you have this on the table all apart and we're still on air?
Well, is it time yet?
I don't know. We're about 4 minutes out. What do you do? What were you going to do with this?
So
a cell phone, a bullet, gun parts.
What did you call this?
Gun parts. That's a bullet.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. It's red.
We'll talk later.
Yeah, that's the one. Not. That's the one.
So what I have laid out. So I'm not lifting it for cameras just yet. So what I have in front of me. So Mike was talking earlier about the 10 ring event, April 23rd. The gun owners radio event, shooting event that we're having. Franklin Armory was kind enough to send us out
2 minutes.
Their CA 320, which is their California compliant.
So they sent it to you in parts.
No, I took it apart.
Is it
I took it apart.
You know, take that apart.
Well, sneak peek little pieces at a time. So the CA320, we had the Franklin Armory rep on a couple weeks ago to talk about it. It arrived. It came in. I was able to pick it up. I just, in case you're wondering, because it was talked about the way that it's a single shot. What they've done is they've taken the frame, the frame module, and they have placed a molded piece that allows you not to insert a magazine. And it essentially has almost like you can think of like a hammock or a sling, plastic piece that will hold a single shot. So a single round. You plop that in through the ejection port, and you're ready to rock and roll.
So it's only a single shot.
It is a single shot as it's sent to you. However, there are lots of friendly companies that are great and provide you options if you'd like to change them out. But I just want to kind of show this piece. It is disassembled. There you go. I'll show you the single shot.
And the rest is heaven.
We'll talk more about it later.